If more of you supported the show, I'd be less sick of podcasts.
The blah blah blah.
Sending out good vibes.
The blah blah blah.
Good vibes. Good vibes.
The blah blah blah.
Good vibes. Good vibes.
108 breaths of deep gratitude and prayers for guidance and protection. And put on a didgeridoo and shamanic drumming track. Shivers or vibrations and stuff like that.
America. Okay, guys, welcome back to the Grand America Show. Coming at you this week with Barbie Rivera. Good show about her new book, Enough is Enough, and basically just like not dealing with the medicating in the education system. And I think they even said her kid was mentally handicapped, and he turned out to be just fine. So, surprise, surprise, strikes again. We got everybody's favorite podcaster, Graham Side Jobs Dunlop.
Side jobs?
Yeah, you're doing the nice pathway the other day.
Oh, yeah, I did a pathway. Yeah.
Odd jobs.
Odd jobs, yes.
Odd jobs.
More than 5 jobs. I've got 5 different jobs, but now I've got side jobs too. Actually, the shed material came in today, so I'm leveling out the ground and getting ready to install both sheds. So got a huge load of basically just plywood and 2x4s and stuff to build the sheds with. So that's exciting. And I get that done so I can get that storage container. What?
Is it a shed package?
Well, kind of. I mean, it's kind of from a material. They build a material list. They have a pretty old system, that Home Hardware people, but they have a material list that comes with it and stuff. So, and I do have some generic drawings from their overall website, like just the stick built shed. Basically, it's a stick built shed.
So you got how long you think this is gonna take?
Oh fuck, dude. Like it can't take, I got to do it. Like I have to do it this summer. Like I have to get my stuff out of the storage. I got to get that all moved. Like it's funny how now, like I don't want to be trapped all winter with this stuff happening. Right. So I don't think it'll take long. I mean, building walls, the shed walls and stuff and building the floor, I don't think it's going to be long. Right.
It shouldn't be too bad.
I got my friend helping me here, and we do it like we pick away. Basically, we do like 2 or 3 hours a day.
Are you doing it just at OSB or?
No, I got some real plywood for the floor. I got thick plywood flooring,
like 3/4 inch.
Yeah.
So it must have been expensive.
It was probably when I went in there, it was like $1,200 per shed, but then by the time I bought it was like probably $1,800 or $2,000 per shed. But I mean, the ones I was looking at online that were built that size were like 4,000 or something. So I was like, I'm going to save money. I'll have to spend a lot of labor on it, but yeah, it got pretty expensive. But I also included like, I'm going to put barn doors between them so that I can open up. So I'm building 2 sheds, but I'm going to be able to walk from the backyard through the one shed into the other shed. But they're still considered like small enough to be movable. It's a movable outbuilding, so I don't break any bylaws or anything like that. But I'm just going to basically make them so I can go right through. So I'll have 2 sliding barn doors between them.
But then you won't have to pay the storage bill every month either.
Right. Yeah.
Which is probably $100.
Yeah, but I mean, I need sheds. I mean, like mine broke down, right? They collapsed, so I figured, might as well just put up ones that are going to last a long time, right? They're wood built. I got the rafters pre-made.
Nice. So you'll be at it.
I'll be at it. I'm at it now. Yeah, I got the ties on the ground right now.
That's fun.
I'm just lining it all up and leveling it all out.
Then you got to move stuff from the city.
No,
just in town storage.
No, it's right here on the property, right in my backyard.
That sea can.
Yeah.
You still got that sea can?
Yeah.
I remember that thing. I seen it. And it's still here. Well, I had to make the trek out on Sunday, made the trek out with Miles out to the cam that got knocked down. I think we talked
Camera?
about it on the show, right? The camera, the trail cam that got knocked down.
Sasquatch got it?
You say Sasquatch. I thought it was a moose, but Nick said he thought it was a cow elk. Now, a cow elk might make sense because there was a cow elk there like the day before or 2 days before, like very close to the camera.
Why does he say it was a cow elk?
He's seen the video. And then that does kind of track because there was a cow elk. The closest thing to that cam I seen clearly before it got knocked over was a cow elk the day before. I got a bear and some cubs now on the upper cam.
Really?
Yeah, a bear and 2 cubs.
Black bear?
Black bear, yeah. A lot of bear sign out there.
That's awesome.
We went out though, it's pouring rain. It's been raining and raining. And then this spot is out in the hills, so it's not the best spot to go to in the rain. So we couldn't even drive all the way in. The roads we're getting pretty mucky, and you got to drive through just a bunch of spots that's just through grass. Some spots the grass is like 6 feet tall. You're driving through, and it just like gets a little sketchy in there when it's pouring rain, and get as much rain as we've got so far.
Yeah, we're not used to that much rain.
So we had to park at the bottom of the hill and kind of hustle because like my truck get in and out of there no problem. I'm pretty sure Miles is too, but you just never know. Like there's some spots coming out of there where if it starts fucking really pouring, the culverts are almost washing out pretty quickly. And you got to try and drive through that. So I went out there and something that ate the antenna off of me. Well, it didn't eat it because we found it like 50 feet away.
No way.
Yeah, something ripped the cellular antenna off of the trail cam because the trail cam was still strapped to the log. They had just somehow spun it like right around and crammed it into the ground and then bitten the antenna off and ripped that off. And then we found that 50 feet away, so it won't connect to the cell anymore. I gotta go
leave fingerprints, or did you check? Did you dust it for Sask prints? That sounds like, if he's, it sounds very trickery, What's the word I'm looking for? Trickster.
I got a video of the grass after it was knocked over again. It was shaking around. So it's like that thing came back like the next night because it's dark in this video and fucking came back and ripped this antenna off. And then I was like, end of signal. So I went all the way out there and reset it. So it'll take the pictures and the videos, but it won't send them to me until I replace the antenna.
Does this weather, before I forget to ask you, does this weather affect your fall hunt?
Yeah, everything should be bumping, I expect. All the animals should really be.
But what about the grass being too tall and the prairies? Doesn't it change the?
Yeah, no. This is out in the foothills where the grass, if it's not 6 feet tall, it's 4 feet tall. If anything, hopefully it's going to fill up a lot of watering holes. I know out east in the Badlands where they don't get a ton of rain at all, they've got a lot of moisture too, and you could just see everything's like green for the first time in like 5 years out there. That's kind of neat. But now I got to go again. So, it's almost a 5 hour return trip, probably 4.5. If I could drive right out to the thing, then I just got to go down the hill and come back up. It's about 20 minutes in and out. But now what I did is I went and grabbed the camera. While I was there, I went and grabbed the camera from the top of the hill and brought it down to the bottom of the hill and brought the one from the bottom of the hill that was broken up to the top of the hill. Because I thought there was a chance that if I brought that one up there, it might grab cell signal even without the antenna. But it didn't work. So now I've got to go to the far camera when I go in there. So I'm looking at 5 hour trip, like drive an hour 45, walk 45, 50, and then back out. The next time though, I'm gonna shoot something. I think we'll make a hunting trip out of it. There's too many trips out not to come back with some meat.
Yeah.
So hopefully next time. and then I've been ripping the boat out here. I mean, I'm excited to hopefully get you out here a little early for the ranch cack. I'll maybe get you water skiing. In my head, I feel like you're a big water skier. Back in
Oh, it
the
used to be.
yeah. I've had like hitting ramps and shit.
No.
No, just
No.
straight pulling.
Yeah.
Are you gonna try?
But I think I had a pretty bad experience later on where I just couldn't. Was I wakeboarding or what was I doing? And I just couldn't get up like I used to just be able to just get
I
up.
don't like
Yeah.
wakeboarding.
Is that what it was?
Wakeboarding's way different.
Yeah. Yeah, I grew up on the water skis, you know. We drop the ski and go slalom after, like we'd start out on 2 and then we learn how to just start out on 1 and
Well, I'm excited to get you out water skiing and see some of your moves. I mean, it's gonna be epic. It's probably
I don't know, I might hurt myself. I mean, it's probably pretty
that's
dangerous.
my concern too. On water skiing, especially,
Yeah.
is that you're hitting the water. You're still hitting the water at what do you think? 30 miles an hour?
No. Where were we going 30 miles? 30 was it kilometers an hour or miles an hour? Maybe it's 25.
It's all in miles.
30 was fast. I think 25 miles an hour, 25. Yeah.
Yeah, you start going much faster than that, and it's gonna fucking hurt when you hit the ground.
Because I just remember playing ball hockey after COVID. It was a disaster. It was really hard to get back into it.
Did you ever watch the video of Kevin water skiing from Unpaved? Where he tries to take the ramp.
Didn't he like bruise his thigh pretty bad or something?
Yeah, that's pretty rough. I mean, we should do a thing where if we get so many donations, we'll build a floating ramp and Graham will do a backflip.
No, I don't want to do any ramp stuff at all. No, there's no way, dude. I mean, I could hardly jump the wake. You know?
No, I couldn't do anything like that. I was just cruising around. And I don't like if it's like any waves either. I didn't like if it's any waves because then you get to like, blah, 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 blah. It's going to be like glass.
Yeah.
And you just have fun. It's fun for a while.
Yeah, there's nothing like it when it's glassy, you know, when it's just when you're just cruising. But you're right. If it's rough, like you're like, this isn't even fun anymore. It's just a lot of work. That's where we used to go. I think we used to go in the morning pretty early.
Yeah, the mornings are usually pretty good. When I used to live on the lake, there was a lot of people out in the morning. I got the kids a 3-person tube. So I'm going to rip them on that probably Wednesday or Thursday. I mean, it looks like there's a couple warm days in the schedule finally. After, I mean, did you see that thing that Trevor put in the chat? It's like the coldest July in Peace River in 150 years or something. Since it started.
That's more like it. That's more like it. I don't know what your Chat GPT assistant was trying to tell you about the weather, but that's more like it. This feels like a very, very unusually cloudy and wet and cold summer. I mean, I'm not complaining. Here it's been like, you know, even if it's 18 or 22, like right now it's probably, you know, perfect sunny, somewhat sunny 22. I mean, it's just always windy here. That's the only problem. So what is it right now? 21 right now. So, and it's going to be like 24, 25, 27, 28, 27. So that's perfect for summer.
Well,
but we haven't had the hot streak yet. You know, like usually we'll get 2 weeks of super hot weather. So that's just hasn't come yet.
I should mention also that Barbie was kind enough to send a couple of the books to the P.O. box. One for each of us.
Yeah.
With a nice little note that says, "Thank you for having me on your show."
That's nice.
And a little a little package of media stuff, I guess. Children's Health Defense, bunch of quotes, an article from the Epoch Times. There's a whole little package for you.
Oh, cool.
There. And I mean, while we're talking about that, we might as well mention that Lord Steve, I forget of what. I should know. We should have like a spreadsheet, I guess. But Lord Steve Lynch, the knife maker, was sent these into the P.O. box. The communist Canadian government charged $203 to pick it up. But he even paid for that. He reimbursed.
What are you saying? 200? What do you mean 200?
That was the import fee. They gave me a form to fill out to ask for a refund.
Oh, so that's the import fee. So that's like tariffs, or are we tariffing?
Yeah.
Oh, we're tariffing things. Oh, I thought we didn't do that. I thought that was all like Orange Man bad tariffs.
Well, let's see. So this is a form to request refund of duties and taxes on casual imports.
Yeah.
But they charged about 25%.
Huh. Yeah.
So, right on the money there. But anyway, it's a beautiful. I think it's called a Kirky or something, right?
Kukri.
Kukri.
That's a D&D. That's a weapon in D&D, actually. It's a special weapon in Dungeons and Dragons.
It's very big and heavy.
Yeah. It's like a dagger, but yeah.
So he said the more curved one was for me and the straighter one was for you.
That makes sense.
So this one here, I mean, it's big and heavy and crazy sharp. Someone was saying it was good for bushwhacking in the chats, but I'd be a little nervous to start swinging that thing in the bush.
Why?
Case what? You missed. The machete is kind of goes the other way. It's got some forgiveness after you get through the bush, or if it's lighter than you think, or
right. Yeah.
it goes the other way. I mean, you're gonna get yourself in the foot eventually if you're going in slashing like that.
Yeah.
And it's heavy and it's cool. It's got he's got the strat. The what do they call it again?
Cover
sheaths.
The sheath, yeah.
Or
Scabbard.
The scabbards are real nice. It's got the ropes at the bottom to tie around your leg and the belt loop on top. This one here is yours.
I love it. It looks like those are legal enough to be walking around with in Canada. Like, can I just, if I had a turban on my head, could I walk around with that? You think? It looks very ceremonial, right?
You probably need the turban, but it definitely is. It's a very ceremonial looking blade. It's definitely over the length limit, which I think is like 8 inches maybe for a fixed blade.
I think it's less than 6, isn't it? I seem to remember.
I thought that was for an unfixed blade, but I could be wrong. But they're razor sharp, of course. And then he also sent a little sharpener along. This adjustable sharpener. I haven't quite figured out how it works yet, but I will.
Nice.
Yeah, and then this other weirdo thing here, which is a magnifying glass.
Oh, I like that.
That has 30x, 60x, and 90x. Which I assume has got to be for... Weird, I can see the little bubbles in the thing.
Like for grinding? Like, are you looking at the knife blade under that?
It's for looking at the knife blade when you're sharpening. So thanks to Lord Steve for that. A great little package. And I am going to fill this form out and see if they send the money back. But like I say, Steve covered it. So that was extra special of him. So here they say the declared value. Okay, you want to know how they came up with the $203?
It's 25% of the declared value, no?
So it's value in Canadian, $619.37, which must be a conversion from him saying 500 US probably. So the tax rate on that is 25%. The tariff is $154.54. And then the GST, for some reason, is $38.71. But you're going to say, wait, that's not
a gift. Like,
that's not quite $203.
Okay. Wait, that's not quite $203.
Well, there's a $9.95 handling fee.
More to
this, of course, is after Steve spent like $100 in shipping.
Oh my God. This is why they're yelling at us to open up business. Isn't it? I mean, isn't this a prime example of why like people want to sell to us, but we won't buy? No.
Yeah, I mean, if I was trying to buy these knives from Steve, it would be prohibitively expensive.
Yeah.
You know, you get by because at the end of the day, you're paying when you add the GST and you're paying 30%. So the GST is 5. So it's a 30% import tax on top of you're buying into an economy that your dollar's not as powerful in. They can add another fucking 20%, 30% for that. So now it's like there's a 50% surcharge to buy American. And they wonder why these guys are upset. I mean, and this was just a gift. So I'm going to fill out the form, see if we get it back. We'll see what they say. But thank you, Steve. I mean, we'll get that to Graham. Then you'll be here in a month. So I'll have another care package for you. I wonder, did Sean ever find that book you wanted?
I don't know. I hope so. I mean, I might as well just order it online now, and you keep that one.
Got to be around here somewhere. So on top of that, we do have some other people to thank. Just one this week, and it must be the week of the Lords because we've had Lord Timmy come in. I'm just double checking. I'm not missing another one here, but I don't see one. Lord Timmy came in with $50. $50 USD recurring subscription. So thanks, Timmy. Another $50 a month. I mean, these lords, they keep us afloat in these dire times. If you want to become a lord, you got to head over to grandamerica.ca/support today. Sign up for monthly or make a one-time donation and just support the amount of $1,000. We say Canadian. Some people do US. It's up to you. But we will make you a lord or lady of the Gramerican Roundtable and give you, if we ever conquer land, we'll give you some. But any support at all makes you a noble instead of a shitty pleb. You become a noble in Gramerica. You're there. You're a noble. Wow. Noble you. And we'll read your note. We'll read your note for you, and we'll be extremely grateful for every dollar that we get. If everybody that listened to the show gave $1, then we wouldn't have to ask you guys for money anymore. If they just gave $1 a month, we'd be set. Even 50 cents. Do it. I don't think they'll let you give that little. But, I mean, if you give $1, we only get 67 cents anyway. So this PayPal takes it, especially on the small end. They really take it. On the bigger end, you don't notice as much. Like on $5, they'll take like 50 cents, I think, or 45 cents. But when you get to the smaller number, they're still taking the 40 cents off of the dollar. We'll still take it. We would still not have to ask you for money, though. Even after they took the 33 cents, we would still have enough. So check that out. Consider gramerica.ca/support. Sign up for monthly or make a one-time donation today.
The other thing we should mention is Sir Scandinavia. What's his official name? Lord Scandinavia.
Sir Scandinavian.
He was on an intro about a year ago. So it's Jasper's 1-year fire anniversary. He's trying to find the episode that we had me start. Sorry, I cannot find out what episode it is. It's probably either 666 Bob Grenier or 665 Sheila Rahman or Jordan Collin. We had all three of those together. That was around the same time last year. Progress is super slow as Parks is in charge of the rebuilding with lot soil samples costing 15 to 20,000 for permission to rebuild. Ouch. He says it was August 1st, but he can't remember. So hilarious how the ones responsible for the fire are still in charge. So yeah, this is a shout out to that big Jasper fire where Paul came on and talked about it, and hopefully everybody's over there is rebuilding and everything's back to normal. Which
of course, that's Lord Paul to you.
Lord Paul.
Lord Paul, he said on Facebook today he's going to order 3 of my books.
Nice.
Which would be great if all y'all did that too. Tell your friends to buy the book. Everyone seems to like it. So check it out. Unlearned. Good help. Good help.
A link. Is there a link in the show notes to it? I better put one in.
I thought you put one in last week.
I did, but now I'm trying to find it.
I'm hoping the sun comes back.
I can't find it now. Where I thought we put it in for sure.
I thought we did too in last week's.
Oh, it's on Sue. It's in Sue Terry's. Yeah. Okay.
Sue Tree. That was a good episode. People can check that out. Hey, the other thing people might want to check out that we did that was kind of fun is we did a YouTube. Not just YouTube. I think it's on Rumble and Rockfin as well, right? But we did
not on Rockfin. I didn't put it on Rockfin.
We found a flood
and
map.
X. It's on X too. So
we found a flood map website that lets you really play around with sea levels. So we're able to go like down up to thousands of meters and up to thousands of meters. So we spent about an hour playing around with that and looking at what the different coastal lines might look like, or the different places that might get submerged and different types of cataclysms, that sort of thing. Kind of went over some theories about the poles shifting around. It was fun. People seem to like it. It's been good on YouTube. So it's called the Grimerica Sea Level Map episode, I think, right?
Yeah, sea level, the sea level episode, the sea level map episode, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, so you might get a kick out of that. A lot of people seem to be getting a kick out of it. So, maybe we can do that sort of content. We just can't do it scripted. We got to just do it real time. That's the only way we fly.
Yeah.
Otherwise we get too stiff. So, anyway, what else you got?
Oh, I don't know. I think that's about it, really. Just our trips and stuff, and CBD.
There's a few spots left for that Azores trip. If people want to come on that, there's a couple spots left for that as of right now. Other people's hesitation could be your slide in
with Randall Carlson.
Randall Carlson and friends. It sounds like maybe Michael Dolan too. From the sounds of it, we should be confirming that this week. And not only that, who's the other guy? Matt Apocalypse.
Yeah.
So it's a hell of an Atlantis research team going to Azores to poke around. You could be part of that crew. Wouldn't that be something? And there's a couple other great trips coming up there too. On contactthecabin.com, there's a solstice trip and a few other things like that. And then, of course, if you want to come hunting, I mean, I still can't believe no one knows. Sign up for the hunting thing still last week. So check that out in the show notes. And get some audiobooks. We got, I think, officially 189 now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, 189 different audiobooks available on adultbrain.ca or Audible or Spotify or wherever you get audiobooks. We got a shitload of them. And if you share those around or buy them or use your credits to get them, that supports us as well over here in Grimerica. So we'd appreciate that. But most of all, Fernando, do you have a bio for Barbie?
Yeah. I'm just going to shorten it up here, but she said it's over the last 30 plus years, she's encountered hundreds of children who, like her son, were told they could not learn. Many had been placed on multiple mind-altering medications before their baby teeth had fallen out. Ouch. Barbie found that in addition to the medications being pushed, the textbooks and lesson plans were overly complicated and deliberately confusing, thus ruining a child's natural love of learning. So her new book, Enough is Enough, fully documents the destructive agendas and psychological manipulation that America's children are subjected to in the mainstream public, private, and charter schools, which aims to keep them drugged and keep them dumb. Over the years, her work has been featured in the mainstream media. She's appeared on podcasts and been invited to speak at selective events, advocating for homeschooling and the rights of children. So that's at BarbieRivera.com. And her book is, I'm going to just link to that. There's a link to that in the show notes. And also, there's another link in the show notes to helpmiami.org, which she founded. Real education. Learn what makes an education at Help Miami. Prepare your children with the education they need to succeed in life. So I think it's like a micro school. Really good success stories about these kids. Like she basically started up her own school after all the stuff that she had been through. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a good story for you guys. Appreciate it. So support the show, grimerica.ca/support. And most of all, enjoy the chat with Barbie Rivera.
right, welcome back to Grimerica. We have Barbie Rivera with us today. She's an educator, author, founder of Help Miami, an accredited K-12 private school, a mom of 4, and an author of Enough is Enough, Exposing the Education System After Their Failed Attempt to Label and Drug My Son. So thanks for joining us, Barbie. How you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this sounds like it will be a very fun, well, not fun, but, an intriguing topic, an educational, let's say an educational topic. Darren's probably going to be running this one a little bit more. I'm not a father, so I don't know what I would do in these circumstances. Well, I know what I think I would do in these circumstances, but Darren has 3 little girls, so be sort of more up his wheelhouse. But I guess you've been doing this for a while, a couple decades now.
Yes.
Since this happened, and I guess your book came out last year. So maybe we can just start with like how the response is to your book, and then we can kind of go back from there to like the genesis of this whole thing.
Of what I wrote about. Okay,
Yeah.
So the response has been great. Like my Amazon reviews are 100%.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Social media, I don't know that. So I think if it's properly marketed, it would do much better because
Right.
everything is very organic. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
But the response from certified educators, from parents, from business owners, from like-minded organizations, if you will, has been positive because education affects everybody, whether you're a parent or not. And I want people to know what's actually happening in the American school system because we get fooled into a mindset of, well, I did fine when I was in school. And my response to that with parents today is like, yeah, but the pot that we smoked in high school isn't the pot that these kids are smoking today. Like, it's different. The first grade that I attended in I think it was 1971 maybe, was light years different than the first grade that kids are doing now. Like 100%. We had 3 recesses. We didn't have standardized testing. There was no homework. And it was a very easy day. And we were expected to master before we went to the next level. That is no longer the case. Anyway.
When do you think that changed?
Oh, I think that changed. I actually think that changed long before I was in school. I grew up in Cincinnati and I attended elementary school in the East End, which is a poorer section of Cincinnati. And I loved my school. My little brother, who was 2 years younger than me, by the time he got to kindergarten, there was already psychology. And my mother was like, what are they doing to these kids? And he got denied. His birthday was in November. So that's the cutoff point. If you're 4, they won't put you in kindergarten if you were born after November. So they wanted to interview him. Fair enough. But they asked him, what's the difference between a cat and a mouse? And he said, a cat's a cat and a mouse is a mouse. And they denied his entry to kindergarten because they said he was intellectually immature. And my mom's like, what? How else was he supposed to answer that question? And then as, I started homeschooling 33, almost 34 years ago. And as I come through and take my homeschooling project into a private school, I find out that getting a real education is a rarity now. And what's acceptable by the traditional schools, like, when I hear that a high schooler passes with a standard diploma and they can't read, I'm like, how did that happen? And it happens all the time.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, actually, funny you mentioned that about the homeschooling and the private school, because it seems to me like a private school would be sort of closer to homeschooling in a way, I guess. Is there some private schools that are very similar?
Yes and no. I mean, here's the thing. I've never gone to college. So I'm an educator by necessity.
Okay.
So I'm a high school graduate. Children, my oldest son did not do well in school, and out of necessity, I put aside my paints. That's what I am. I'm an artist. Set that aside. And I'm like, okay, I need to solve this. But you have the private school, it's like these schools have sold out to drug companies and the drug companies are in bed with the curriculum companies. So you have the textbooks, which are confusing, which the textbook companies own ADHD research facilities. And so they confuse the kid, then they label him, and then they drug him. And we're like, okay, when did that become a solution? I don't know how to change a tire on my car. I could figure it out, but I don't know how to. But there's no drug on the market that's going to help me get that tire on the car. I'm going to have to learn it.
Yeah. And this was going way back, right? So I think your example is the early 90s, right? Which is weird because I graduated in 88 and in Canada. So, but I don't think that was a thing in Canada in the 80s. So it must have been just sort of starting to get, like, you must have been at the leading edge of it, I guess, I would think.
Well, yes and no, because when I did research for my book, you find out that the United States was number 1 in the world educationally in 1910, like in that area. It's not perfect. So, you know what I'm saying? There's always a problem. I get it. And there always is.
Was there public schools then, or was it most?
Yes, it was public schools, but it really wasn't the structure that Rockefeller put in, because you had a lot of the one-room schoolhouses. And then following the Civil War, there were over 1,000 schools built for African Americans because education was considered important. And it is. But so now in 1910, we have the United States being number 1 in the world educationally. And then by 1913, 14, 15, Rockefeller comes in, and he starts with, I believe, Stanford University, bringing in psychologists from Germany. And the psychologists from Germany, there's many points of source on this. It wasn't just one person dismantled the United States. But you have the theory that man is mud, and there's no, like, you ring a bell and they salivate, like those Pavlov dogs, that's how people are. And they have to be punished into submission. And the way to get a worker, they don't want free thinkers, they want a worker, is to do it through the education system. And they mirrored
Russia?
Similar education philosophies that were done in Nazi Germany. Because, like, here's the thing. If I go and tell you, I want you to take that woman and shoot her, you're not going to do it. You have a conscience. Even if she was bad, you're not going to do that. You're going to say there has to be another way. But then you have this whole Holocaust, which that's not the only group that was in violation of human rights. Like, how did they get those soldiers to comply? And that was the protocol that they brought into the United States, because they didn't want free thinkers. They wanted workers. And that evolves. So when you have a psychiatric community that has since become the authorities, and they shouldn't be. It used to be mental health was handled in your church. Now we have the authorities of psychology, and psychology, which are electric shocks. It used to be, I don't know. I think
shoving a stick up into your head. What was that? The lobotomy.
Yeah. The lobotomy was the standard issue of care in the 10s and 20s, right? Now it's drugs. So we're doing chemical lobotomies, essentially, right? Anyway, so that follows through. And I'm like, okay, this isn't, I'm a single mom. I want my kid to grow up with no drugs, and I want him to learn. And I did it. My son would have thrived in my first grade. The principal of my school would have laughed in your face if you said, we need to test a first grader and we need to give them homework, and we're going to take away their recess and their playtime. He would have said, what are you doing? That's called slavery. And that's what's happening today. So parents, they send their kids to these beautiful buildings with the billboards that have the duckies and the rockets and the president's faces, and it looks all wonderful. And it's not. And I'm like, I am so pro homeschooling right now and anti-traditional school because I almost lost my son.
What happened with that then? They tried to
Okay,
get
so
him
I'll
to
tell you a
judge, or-
little bit about my son. Damon was I think my parents' 18th grandchild, my first son. For my ex-husband's Cuban. And for the Cuban side of the family, he was the first grandson, which is a big deal. So he grew up speaking Spanish. He was super well behaved, very respectful. I read stories to him every single day. Like he was cared for. He helped in the kitchen. Damon, it's time to clean up your toys. Okay, Mom. Damon, it's time for bed. Okay, Mom. Like no issue. He didn't throw a fit at the grocery store. He didn't throw things when I said no. Like he was a well-rounded, he's just 6. So I'm like, this kid is going to ace school, thinking that I'm putting him into a classroom like I was, right? On the second Friday of school, the teacher told me, quote, your son is mentally handicapped and will most likely need a lifetime of psychotropics to be able to learn. And I'm like, he learns Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. He learned a second language without any drugs. Why are you telling me that? Well, he confuses the B and the D. I'm like, because they look alike. He doesn't confuse a cow and a water bottle. They look alike. Well, he also confuses the 6 and 9, to which I responded, I'll take him off of all check writing duties for the family because this is just outrageous. Thinking that was a joke. But I'm like, how long? I'm like, he also can't drive. He can't drive a car. And I have no idea what I'm going to wear to his wedding. I don't know what the venue is. So let's just stress ourselves out. Like first grade, my first grade, that was where we started reading. And we spent months on the alphabet, making the B in Play-Doh, making a D in Play-Doh, because it took time. And now and this is in the 90s, it was so accelerated. And I think it was the second day of school, he brought home homework. He had to write a book report. I'm like, he can't read. It's not like he's incapable of reading. He can't read. And you bring that up to the teachers. Well, the Florida standards. I'm like, I don't freaking care what the standards say. He can't read. Period. Teach him to read. Well, I have a certificate. I have a master's in this. I'm like, good, then you should be able to do this really easily. And I went like this. And unfortunately, the light bulb didn't go off for me at that point. I was very pregnant with number 4. I had a daughter who was 3. My other son was 1. Damon was 6. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to homeschool him. I don't even know where to begin. So I kept him in school and I was being the good mom and helping him with his homework, which essentially, to be really graphic, I was poisoning him with their poison just using a friendlier spoon. The spoon had a cartoon character on it because I'm sitting at the table helping him through his homework, grinding through hours. My little ones want to play with me or they need me. They want their brother, and I'm being the good mom. And by the end of the year, my son told me, Mom, I'm stupid. And I was like, oh boy, that's what the certified system did. They indoctrinated my son to thinking he was the problem. He was stupid. And it was at that point, I go, honestly, I was like, F it. I'm going to homeschool. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I have 2 in diapers, but what did they do 150 years ago in the West? They homeschooled their kids and they had 19 kids. I'm exaggerating, but they made it happen. And those kids weren't put on drugs. No one thought that. So anyway, that's what I did. And I ended up writing a book about it because I transitioned from my homeschool. Like, again, I'm a single parent. So the way that I made money was I had other people that would bring their kids to my house, and I charged, and that was their education. And if you were in Miami, you would withdraw your child into a homeschooling program and hire me to do it. And I would keep all the, I kept documents of everything they did. I kept a journal of everything we covered. So at the end of the year, it wasn't that the kids were playing video games all day. I had a class. It was in my house, but there was a start time, there was a break time, there was a game time, there was a snack time, it was run. I had it scheduled. So I figured I was like a professional homeschooler. Now there's a word called micro school, and that's really what I promote, because I think that mothers and fathers who want to get out of the system, who do have to work, it's not Lamborghini money, but they could bring in some income if they tailored a homeschool program to the age of their child and got 5 others or 6 others the same age. And then you have a group. And I'll tell you, my children did so much better having a group of kids. At one point, I had 22 kids coming to my house. And it worked. And they were like, I had the kids that were making comics because that's what they wanted to do. And that's how I inspired their grammar. They would make comics and they would sell them to their classmates and the parents. If you were my neighbor and you knew I was homeschooling, you would come knock on the door. It's like, hey, is there a comic there? Because I have 75 cents. And the kids would be like, oh, we're businessmen. So they'd make $5 a week. But they would, you know what I'm saying? So this was like homeschooling on steroids, but it was very friendly. It was very aimed at what they wanted to achieve, and what they were learning directly impacted their lives. So I wasn't just piling data on so they could pass a test. I wanted them to use what they learned.
Yeah, that's great. Did they have to pass tests? Darren would know up in Canada, but do they have to pass like a state or a...
They don't have to pass nothing up here. I mean, honestly, they're supposed to, but we don't even do
like just to get your grade 12, I guess.
Not really grades anymore. Now it's like there's like a satisfactory, proficient. There's like a few letters. I mean, I don't really worry about it too much. I mean, my kids miss like a lot of school this year because of traveling or doing this and doing that, and it just doesn't seem like a priority, honestly. Mine are in their teens now, young teens, so they're like, they've learned to read, they've learned to do the math, and I'm at the point where the school's not teaching them a whole lot of useful things anymore that I can't teach them anymore.
Are you going to homeschool them next year?
I don't think anyone would really care. I mean, Madison managed to fail science tests, so but I don't think there's a real like no one gets held back anymore. There's none of that. There's no like, and I don't know that I'm not even saying I agree with people getting held back, but there's just like there's no sort of expectation really. It really seems to be, and mine aren't even into high school yet, and they're sort of mostly getting pulled out and doing virtual and that sort of thing at homeschool now.
It's
maybe the high school would have been a little different. I mean, I'm also in like a farming community in the most conservative province in Canada, so it's a little different. Like in Ontario, I don't know the exact rules, but that's like I was going to ask you, because there's got to be states where it would have been hard to do what you're doing in the 90s.
Yes, California, it's almost impossible. New York, it's very hard.
Like Canada, I feel like would be on that list where it'd be super hard to be doing this thing. And this is the kind of thing where they would bust into your house when they find out there's all these kids here learning. Be like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Well, Florida's very homeschool friendly, but that doesn't necessarily mean the education is good, because the things that are available educationally have all been altered from, they're so far off base, like the Common Core wiped out math, English, writing, it just wiped it out. And then you had the No Child Left Behind. Wow, it sounds great. It sounds like we're going to rescue everybody. That's not what it was. We're going to push self-esteem more than we are standards. And I'm sorry, like when I was a baby, I had open heart surgery. My parents don't want somebody who was like self-esteem, hey, you did it, operating on me. They want somebody who knows what they're doing. They want competency. And back in the day, that was the goal, was competency. And they stretched it out. Again, I got the tail end of a good education. My third grade was devoted mathematics-wise to multiplication and division tables. And you had a little bit of things left in, but it wasn't this pressure cooker of what third graders get today. One day they're doing addition, the next day they're doing subtraction, the next day they're doing this, and it's all Common Core style. So it's polluted because they're pushing an agenda that's called, like they'll say, here's a buzzword, critical thinking. And it's bullshit. It's just bullshit, because critical thinking, okay, we give a set of car keys to a 1-year-old, and I use this as an example. What do they do with it? They stick it in their mouth. You give a set of car keys to a 16-year-old, they know exactly what to do. We didn't have to drug them. We didn't have to give them assignments about keys. They developed naturally into knowing what to do. We don't have to short circuit that. They will grow up, right? So I make a reference in my book. If I could find it, I would read it. But it's like the second grade Common Core. I'm going to paraphrase that 23 plus 17, right?
Yeah.
The way I learned to do that, I can get it done in about 10 seconds. It says 23 plus 17. You take the 3 and add it, or you take the 20 and you add it to something that makes a 10. So since 20 plus 10 equals 30, and then that leaves 3 plus 7, and they have this whole procedure that a second grader has to follow. They can no longer just add the ones, carry over, add the 10s. That's gone. That's gone. Because
so that's what you mean by Common Core wiping out all that. It's just
because it slows down the mind. And the thing that I told my children, I'm like, your mind is the fastest computer. You want the answer like that. And if you can have the answer like that and it's correct, hallelujah. And if you can't, you work on it, because you should be able to, some problems you should be able to look at and figure out. And, and we also got into, I didn't do multiple choice as a homeschooler, because again, that's another dumbing down. Oh, we got to do multiple choice. I'm like, well, life, there really isn't multiple choice. Like it's not reduced to 4 solutions. There might be 20 solutions. There might only be one. But to be educated into this pigeonhole thinking, to me, isn't thinking, it's indoctrination. And when I hand a school system a little boy who's been raised properly, who has been cared for properly, who has a story read to him, who is tucked in, who has a schedule, who is, if he was rude to you, he would hear from me. But he wasn't rude to you. He's very polite to you because he was taught to be, and he would, if he saw a bottle on the ground, he'd pick it up and throw it away. He didn't put the bottle there. He's just like, well, I don't want some animal to get in the bottle. He had some awareness. And I give that to the school system, and they hand me back somebody who is destroyed and thinks they're stupid. That's not okay. And that's their job. We should be working together. But I'm like, what I wanted existed 100 years ago. What I got was a whole bunch of psychology and 100 reasons why my son needed to be drugged.
And how did it go with your son after you started homeschooling?
It took me 2 years to get his confidence back, but fantastic. He's 41, almost 41 now. And all my kids have an IQ of over 150. And it wasn't like I'm a brainiac or anything like that. To me, they were educated. And they were educated when they had little businesses by the time they were 8, 9, and 10. You can imagine, I'm going to paint rocks. Okay, perfect. Paint rocks. And then parents come in to pick up their kids from homeschooling. They see a little thing of rocks. Who's not going to buy $1 rock from a child? And my incentive on that was good. If you behave and you get your work done, I will support any business activity. So I had all of these kids doing businesses, and I'll paint a picture. I'll draw a picture in crayon of your dog, and they would get a few bucks for it. So they were getting into the mindset of exchange. They want to go buy gum. Well, what are you going to do to produce it? And it was an interesting, I didn't realize it at the time because I was stressed out and not knowing what I was doing. But now I look back and I'm like, wow, that was like kind of golden. Like what came from that was really nice. I at least have children who will show up to my funeral,
Yeah, no, but that's what Darren was like with his kids. I remember he was just letting them sort of build websites and do business ideas, like, and I could see that being super helpful, just getting into that mindset.
Well, I don't think the education system right now has any. You don't even really talk about money.
No, well, they don't, because the push is you're a victim. To me, you're a victim, and the best citizen is one who obeys all orders. And I'm like, that's not necessarily the case. I mean, I'm not saying run red lights.
No, there's certain things.
There's certain things though. And when somebody's like telling me, oh, well, your boys are, you're a single mom, your boys are going to grow up without a father. I'm like, well, that's my problem. I have to be the dad and the mom. And I will never have a father of a girl that they take to the movies complain about their behavior, because they know from me. And again, nowadays, you're not even allowed to say, oh, I enjoy being a mother. I enjoy being a mother. I think that part of the problem right now is we don't have enough mothers standing up and raising good children. I was raised that way. If I would have cussed to a teacher at school, my mother would have practically strangled me, my father, and then my grandmother and grandfather behind me. We knew exactly where we stood. And we had to have accountability, have responsibility. If I got an F in school, I was grounded. I think that's fair. Again, it's a different system, though. It's not the system today.
It's so weird though, because we went from competency to the self-esteem, but it really didn't work. It doesn't seem like the kids these days have self-esteem. I mean, they have, or maybe it's sort of transmuted it as something else, but it doesn't feel like it was self-esteem in the good way.
No, it isn't, but it's coddling. Yeah. It's coddling because I have a lot of boys in my middle school and my high school, and I'm like, and their number one activity is video games. And I'm like, guys, I'm just going to tell you, and I'm going to sound like an old person. I go in high school. If you didn't have a job and a car by the time you were 16, no one would date you. You were what was called a loser. And I'm not saying you're a loser, but you're wasting your time because there's no decent job or endeavor that logging hours and hours of video games, which I make them use the calculator. I'm like, we're going to do a math problem. How many hours a day? How many days a week? How many years old are you? Well, we're going to take off 4 years. For your first 4 years of life, we're going to assume a device wasn't put in your hands, which now they are. They give, 1-year-olds devices. So add it all up. It's like 15,000 hours of video games on the low side. And yet you can't write a sentence with a capital letter. I'm like, we flipped. And if you say, hey, your son didn't turn in the math. What did he really understand? He had to turn in math. I'm like, do you really understand that this is school? And that's part of school. Like I'm his coach for academics. He has to respond the same way he responds to the soccer coach. Like this is my job.
teaching them responsibility too, right? And accountability and all those things. Like, yeah, it's one thing to have good self-esteem, but you got to work for what you get. It's not
That's
just going to
right.
be handed to you on a silver platter. I mean, I think that seems to be what's missing. Darren, are your kids gonna sort of be homeschooled this year, or?
Well, it's kind of like a virtual thing, so they do some stuff online, and then the rest they're not going into the school anymore for sure. They're just sort of staying
Wow.
home or doing the online thing, and then I'll sort of supplement. I mean, I ain't teaching them a whole lot at this point. They can already read and write and they can already do all the stuff. My kids tend to excel at stuff, so now it's like just getting into the other stuff. Probably a lot more business side of things, honestly, because we run businesses here ourselves that we live off of. So it's just like they're already seeing that as just the way things are. They don't see that you go, I was working for someone else for a while, but I've always had this thing on the side, and now it's all we do. So they can kind of just see how you can sort of do whatever you want and monetize it if you can just figure out the angles. So yeah, they're gonna mostly stay home now, and I think I mean, honestly, I think it's the amount of school they missed has probably been better for them. It really has this
Oh,
way.
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
totally. I mean,
I
what if?
agree with you on that.
Yeah, what is there any tips on creating a micro school, Barbie?
Okay, so now we're getting into the first reason I wrote the book was basically to let people know what's happening, because the people with the white coats and the certificates don't always know. They don't always know. And in my case, it was definitely the wrong thing to do. I would have lost my son. Absolutely. And I see too many kids that I've lost, and I write about them, change the names, blah, blah, blah. So the second reason that I wrote the book is that I have a problem. And I see this problem, and it keeps me up at night. And I'm in my 60s now. And I'm like, I don't want to die without this problem solved. And the problem that I'm trying to solve is nothing that I can do a bake sale on. It's nothing that I can paint a few rocks and expect that gets that's enough funding to solve that. So in here, I get into it very lightly, how to do what I did, right? There will be follow-up to this that really gets into the micro school, what subjects you should teach, and what sources. But this is what I want to do. So this is an elementary book from 1883. Over COVID, I wish I would have known what COVID was, because I would have been much more effective than thinking, because trying to run a school, are we open this week? Are we not?
my
And
God.
it was never. I never had a problem with enrollment until COVID. And I'm still recovering. So anyway, whole other show. So I started collecting from 1800s to the early 1900s books, and I have over 500.
Oh wow, I love it. Those are that was a whole different different
Whole
era.
different philosophy.
Yeah.
Now check this out. This is from Ficklin's New Mathematics, Elementary Arithmetic. First of all, they didn't believe in giving textbooks to first, second, and third graders because they thought it would ruin their natural desire to learn. At that time, they suggested short periods of learning with longer periods of controlled play. Not just go out and take a stick to a tree, but actual controlled activity. In one book, it tells you the kindergarten ratio. So if the kindergarten ratio of seat work to play was 10% of the day, the kindergartner should be in a chair. The rest of the time, they are engaged with an active teacher with microscope, with the magnifying glasses, playing Candyland, spotting colors, go draw a squirrel, pick up leaves, glue them. Like, it was activity. And now you have the kindergartners that are labeled ADHD because they won't sit in their chair for 8 hours a day. It's ridiculous. And children aren't geared for that. So here, this is a 4th grade book, and it says The how and why we taught is an easy and gradual introduction to the student. So these books gradually introduce and expound upon their already natural love of numbers. Because by the time they are 5, they should know how to count. If the parent is engaged with them and they're not device heavy, they would have played games. They can count on their fingers. They can say, oh, I saw 3 birds. There might be 20 birds, but they saw 3. You say, great, you saw 3. Another thing that these books, and again, I have 500 of them, is the biggest waste of time in mathematics is half learning arithmetic, passing a test, and then forgetting. I'm like, that's our American system right now. So what I want to do is I want to take these books. This is how reading used to be taught. Like, this is basic. And I want to put it in a format with its own font. You know, there's a lot to it, but I want to put together to where, Graham, if you had a 5-year-old, you say, okay, what do I do for kindergarten? And I have it all. I have everything.
Yeah.
I have the reading, I have the writing, I have the math. That if you do 3 pages here with like a schedule. And again, the schedule is up to you. If you want to add Jesus to it, add Jesus to it. If you want to add some other philosophy to it, add it. But what I want to do is the ABCs, 1, 2, 3, definitions of words, lots of repetition, so that when your child is at the end of kindergarten, they know their alphabet. They can recognize the uppercase and lowercase. They know the definition of uppercase and lowercase, which I will provide that. And what we'll do with that, what I see that does is it correctly educates the future generation on what worked. This isn't new. What I'm talking about isn't new. It worked back in the day when we were number 1. So why don't we just go back to that? Well, because we have psychologists and psychiatrists and drug companies, they're never going to do that.
Well, it's hard not to blame the Rockefellers, right? Because he gets his tentacles into the education system at the same time as he's getting his tentacles into the pharmaceutical system.
Right.
I mean, to me, it's just a matter of was it just to create workers, or is it something more sinister than that ultimately?
Right. Well, in chapter 3, I go into the Rockefellers and I quote like Dewey, like some of these guys were just evil. Like they weren't pro-child. And yet here we are electing them pro-child. Oh, we're going to make them the authorities. I'm like, since when did that happen? And I go into, it's a semi-brutal read in the middle, because it kind of peels off the social veneer of like, oh, look, the bulletin boards have duckies on them. My child must be safe. The teacher's pretty. My child's safe. And it's not so. Anyway, so what I want to do, honestly.
What about, hey, before we move on from that, I mean, speaking of, it triggered me because you said the teacher's pretty. Because now you probably know these stats better than I do, but my understanding was, and even from my personal experience, when I went to school, I had probably 3 female teachers for every guy or something like that. And from what I heard, if you went back, I'm 44. So if you went back 20 years before that, it was about 50-50. And now I'm in a situation where, my one daughter has never had a male teacher, and she did 6 grades and never had a male teacher. And my other daughter had one, who ironically enough ended up being a listener of the show, which was a weird little thing. So I didn't have to worry because he was cool. But I'm not going against male teachers, just the opposite, because I think there's this weird sort of thing where I was reading something not too long ago that said it was now 37-1. So there's 37 female teachers to every male teacher in the public system. And I'm just wondering, have you noticed any of that, or what sort of effect?
Well, I'm not really involved in that because I'm my own thing. Like I walked away from the public school system 30-something years ago.
Yeah, and you've just been outside.
My middle finger's up in the air, so to speak. And I'm like, you guys are dead to me.
what's the sort of your school?
It's almost it's all female, but it wasn't always. Prior to COVID was like a nightmare. And it was a nightmare for probably reasons that people don't know. I'm in a shopping center. Like my school I love my school, but it's not an income. It covers its bills. It's a nonprofit. So we get some money in, but it's not like, oh, I want a Lamborghini. I know, let me become a homeschooler. Like it's not that type of an activity. It never was intended to be that type of an activity. That said, I was in a shopping center and the management of the mall, this woman loved me. And she's like, I can always tell the kids that go to your school that are in the shopping mall versus the kids that come from other schools. Your kids are very polite. I don't ever have to worry about them doing spray painting, kicking over a garbage can, acting nonsense. So I had 2 spaces. One had my kindergarten to 7th grade, and the other space had my middle school to high school, 100 kids. COVID hits, the fire codes change. So on the bigger space, yes, your face was my soul. I had to move a doorway 4 feet. In order to move it 4 feet to be COVID compliant, I had to reroute.
Even in Florida?
And this is Florida. I was just going to say.
Florida. Yes, because everybody's on the greed train. My rent.
I mean, we were looking at you guys like the bastion of the free world from up here during those times.
No, it's not true. So, I mean, parts of it were, but parts of it weren't. So in order to do all the upgrades to a space that I do not own and will never own because it's part of like you could put a Baby Gap or a Trader Joe's in this space. It would be too small, but that's what it is. And it's next to a UPS store and it's next to a Chinese restaurant, on and on. In order for me to do the upgrades and reroute the AC, reroute the plumbing, reroute the electrical was $200,000.
Holy sh!
Yes. And I'm like, where do I get that money? Like, I'm not sitting on that type of money. Like, what do you expect? Plus the mall management, they upgraded to a new and improved. So the person who loved me is no longer there. So now I'm working with the slick college guys, sales team. And they're like, well, if you can't produce the numbers, babe, you need to vacate the premises. And you know what they did with that space? They turned it into a child psychiatric center.
Wow.
I know.
Just to kick you when you're down.
And I don't even know if they know what they're doing because they have no morals. So I have my little space. So I went from 100 kids to 40. And I lost staff because I'm ranting, but I lost staff because the rents went up 65%. And I'm like, okay, my income didn't go up. It's 65%. Anyway, you're like, what the hell is this? Like, is really like and sometimes I get into the feeling that I'm trying to empty the Atlantic Ocean with a bucket with what I'm doing, except without any pat on the back, or I don't need a parade. I don't want to be famous. What I'm doing is important. And saving my son was important. Saving my daughter and my two other sons who never had the thought they were stupid. They were opposite that, which is how you want your children to be, my opinion, right? And the kids that I get into my school every day who have been passed and passed and passed and passed, who are now in the 7th grade and they can't add, subtract, multiply, or divide or write a sentence. I'm like, what do I do with them? Do I say goodbye or do I try to fix it? And I try to fix it. And with the economics and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, okay, I don't know any rich people who are going to fund me. So I'm going to write a book. And if this book takes off, I'll fund it myself, because it's not like let's just say somebody's like, oh, $1 million. I'm not going to go buy a boat. I'm not going to buy a boat. I'm not going to, whatever people do with their faces these days, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to call up 2 of my friends who want to work with me, who can't make the money they need to work. And I'm like, okay, we're doing this now.
Yeah.
Do you have any
Which-
sort of online aspect to it? Is there any sort of like programs, or have you looked at that? Because I mean, I was reading something that, I mean, you'd know the numbers better than me on this too, but I mean, so maybe I won't even quote the number. I'll just say that you guys are going through the biggest resurgence of homeschooling,
I
I
was,
think, in the history of the country
I was
right
just
now.
going to say that.
People must be just grasping for micro schools, or even the people that want to do it from home. Where do I start? What do I do? What do I?
Well, and honestly, that's the reason for this podcast, is to get my name out there.
Yeah.
Because, I don't do this. I don't know this. This is not my, for me to put Facebook on my phone, I had to have 2 kids do it for me because I don't know that. And then when school starts, I'm the 8th grade teacher. So that's like its whole other, well, almost universe, if you would say. But I don't want to go problem, because I have it solved. Like, I want to generate enough income, honestly, that I could retire from the school. My daughter will take the school and I leave it in competent hands. And I have some teachers. My teachers have been with me. I don't hire certified teachers. I hire people that love children and are willing to go the distance. We can't help everybody, and I write about it. But Mike, go ahead.
Well, there's some real interesting infrastructure that's been built now for maybe for people like you too. Definitely for homeschooling. I mean, I remember, Darren, do you remember we did a podcast a while back? It was the Firefly Homeschooling Network, and it was right at the beginning. And they've got this fireflyedu.org, and it's a whole education network. It says the future of homeschooling. Customized courses, live classes, tutoring, international accessibility, community and innovation. Firefly is your one-stop shop homeschooling solution. So
that's basically what I want to tap into. And I want to use this.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't want to use the modern. I want to go back to this.
Yeah. So you can apply to become an instructor and all that. So, I mean, it might be good timing for you to, maybe you can utilize some of this infrastructure that's there already to help.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
What was do you know, like, what is the rate of drugging kids at? I mean, ADHD is sort of the big one. Is there anything else that's prevalent?
Okay, so I'm gonna
Because what I'd like to do is spend some time.
We have like 11 million children in the United States that are on ADHD drugs. And the United States is the #1 prescriber of psychotropics to children.
And you only have, what, 4 million births a year? Is that still pretty average?
That I don't know. But I know this, and I write about it. I have a picture of a toddler, and he's sitting in a box, and it's my nephew, and he's 18 months old. And the story that I tell about him, he's in a diaper. You can tell he's a pudgy little toddler. And the parents came to me alarmed that the preschool director told them that they wanted to start an educational intervention program on the baby. And the parents were like, why? And it's like, well, for 2 reasons. He doesn't hold the crayon properly, and he didn't do Spanish American heritage homework. The kid was 18 months. And I'm like, the crayon box, Crayola crayon box, used to say not recommended for children under 3. It no longer says that. But just because they have it or don't have it on their crayons, we as common sense thinking adults, no, we're not going to give a 2-year-old a crayon. They're not going to do what a crayon is intended for. And so here the parents took him out of the preschool. And the preschool, okay, so now I'm going to tell you a really gross story. And this is unfortunately true. This was, I think, in 2006 when Intuniv was coming on the market. And Intuniv was on the market, but a form of slow release Intuniv, which is an ADHD drug. Now, before a drug goes into where the doctors can prescribe it, they have to do a drug study. So now that I'm a private school, I went from homeschooling to private school. Now I'm on mailing lists, and I stay on these mailing lists today because I get the latest cutting edge from the psychiatric community on what they're doing to treat children, and it's insanity. Anyway, so I had 2 representatives from a drug company come to see me, and they wanted my help promoting this drug. Could you be part of the drug study? There's 3 levels of participation. The first level is for every name, address, and phone number that I give them, I get $100. And they're like, Barbara, you could use your Christmas mailing list. Like whoever you send Christmas cards to, you could add them to that because you could use the money. Participation level 2 is if I do a mental health checklist on the kids. And it was 30 items. One of them being the child gets disturbed by noises off, meaning if they hear a siren going down the street, they look up. I'm like, who doesn't? But oh my gosh, that and bad handwriting and argues with adults. These are all criteria. $500 if I fill out a checklist on a child, $500 per child. If I sit with you gentlemen and I get you to put your child on the drugs, I would get $5,000. $5,000 per child.
That is insane.
It is insane. And I asked, where do you go? Well, we go to after school, basketball, baseball, parks and recreations. We go to preschools. We go to public schools, private schools, religious schools, anywhere where there's kids to get them signed up. And I'm like, I'm not participating. And then they go, this was their like sales pitch. You're the only educator in South Florida who said no to the money, which makes me sick to my stomach. And they're like, but Barbara, your school is kind of small and ugly, and you really could use the money. Or you could keep it for yourself and get a new car. And I'm like, well, let's face it. I live in Miami, which I think is like the cocaine capital of the world. So if I wanted to really fund my school, I could go to a cocaine dealer because the cocaine dealer isn't trying to get my children on his product. He apparently has more morals than you do. And so my school is small. And if I reach through, like if I have a glass wall here and my office is basically glass. Kids see me, there's no issue. I see them, there's no issue. If I go to the bank, somebody's elbowed, little nonsense happens. But if I could reach through the wall, I would touch my high schoolers, which at the time, I think I had 16 kids in high school. The only one that hadn't been drugged was my youngest son. So I have these drug reps. I'm like, give me 1 second. I go into high school. I'm like, time out, guys. You see the suits in my office? They just offered me $260,000. And the kids were elated. We could get a new building. We could do this. We could get a basketball court. $260,000 isn't going to cover one permit for a building. Anyway, I go, the only thing is there's a catch. You have to go on psychiatric medication. 3 kids stood up. The 3 kids that stood up, one of them has permanent liver damage from the psychiatric drugs he was prescribed from 5 to 9 years old. He's now in high school. Another one stood up because he attempted suicide when he was 8 as a side effect. Another one stood up because he has permanent tics from another psychiatric drug. And they were like really pissed off. And I'm like, you feel that emotion? That's the correct emotion because right now I could sell you out for money and I'm not going to. So I need you to listen clearly to what I say. No one gets hurt, but listen to what I say. And I go back into my office. Again, it's a cozy space so you can hear what I'm going to say. And I tell these drug reps, I'm like, what you're doing is a crime against humanity. You're selling out. Look at this boy, attempted suicide on the drugs you're pushing. Look at this one. He has permanent liver damage. He has to go every 3 months to get his liver checked for the rest of his life because of the garbage you're pushing. So I suggest you pack up your pamphlets, close up your suitcases or your briefcases, get the hell out of my office because I'm dismissing high school early and they're going to kick your ass in the parking lot. And I'm like, class dismissed. And they all go running. No one got hurt. But my kids, they were like, I yelled at them. And I'm like, good. They got a little bit of justice, even though nothing happened. But they, only one of the 16 wasn't drugged. And they witnessed right in front of them 2 people trying to push a drug on them for I don't know what commission or what.
Well, I mean, whatever it is, it's worth, if you're getting 5,000 plus 200 plus 100 or whatever that is per student I mean, it just shows you how much they're raking and how long it's going to go on for years and years and years, decades and decades. Cause they're just going to, that 5,000 is nothing compared to the lifetime revenue that they're going to get.
Yeah. And I'm like, nobody's offering me $5,000 for children I teach to read. I've never been offered money for my success stories ever.
Yeah.
Oh, this kid came in, he was 3 grade levels behind. Now he's in med school. I've done that more than once. Oh, now he's a police officer. I've done that more than once.
Wow.
Like all of these things. And some kids have come in catatonic on the drugs that they were on. And I'm like seriously, like this. And the parents, I'm not a doctor. I can't say take them off or keep them on. But the parents are fed up and they see their child. I'm like, where do you see them in 10 years from now? Because I see somebody who doesn't know that they're sitting in a chair. Do you think that's going to improve? Mom, dad? So we're going to have a long year. I don't know if the stuff that they wanted my son to take, it's called CNS medication. CNS stands for central nervous system. So essentially they wanted to alter my son's central nervous system. And that's the Ritalin, the Vyvanse, the Intuniv, the Adderall. Those are all classified under CNS medication. And I'm like, I think placing a child on CNS medication before his baby teeth fall out is detrimental to the child. I think my son needs to have a functioning central nervous system if he has any hope at all of reading, which I knew he did. He spoke 2 languages. And not all
developing. I mean, they're still developed. They must be still developing.
Yes. And he was 6 years old. He was going to grow up to be an NBA player. He was going to be a police officer, a firefighter, and a cowboy. And I'm like, great. I'm not holding him to that. But yet these labels, they take present time. Oh, he's afraid of the dark. He suffers from anxiety. I'm like, come on, let him grow up.
Wow. So it must be hard to go ahead, Darren.
What are some of the common things that these parents are going to hear? You know, we got a bunch of young people listen to the show. You know, I think we got a ton of people in their 20s and early 30s that are going to probably face this, especially with the sort of pressure systems that you're talking about coming from the other side. What should they sort of expect to hear from the teachers, and how can they armor themselves against it?
To me, the school system is no longer, it ceased being an educational system. It's into schooling, which is indoctrination. And the teachers, unfortunately, have been indoctrinated to the same standard. Because, like, I don't hire certified teachers. I have tried to hire certified teachers. I have tried. And I failed every time because the certified teacher is looking at the child through some diagnosis. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Teach him fractions. And oh, well, he just doesn't have the mind for number. And I'm like, okay, well, what's the definition of fraction, master degree certified teacher? They can't tell me. I had an English major who couldn't tell me the definition of English. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't have a position for you. I just don't, because I have to spend so much time educating them versus a parent or an adult who really is passionate about seeing a child thrive. That's a whole different story. That's a whole different story. And they might not know it, but they're going to know it after they teach it, because I'm going to teach them how to teach it, which is a whole other thing that I want to do, which is how to get people able to homeschool. My first thing, though, is to get this book out so that I can afford to turn the school over, afford to now start looking outward without the present time problem, so to speak, of the finance, of the COVID things. Like everything elevated, even our credit card, how you swipe a credit card, those charges went up. We have to go through the Department of Agriculture, I believe, to get okay for our, like, what is this? It was the greed train, which I wasn't, a school is, you can only have so many kids. So the budget is the budget. And when the budget starts going higher than what you can produce, that gets scary.
Yeah.
Anyway, and we've done this before. We've done things like this before, so I'll make it go. But I've never written a book before. And that's in my favor because the book sounds like I talk. It's not this boring blah, 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 blah. It's a story. It's a this, it's a that. And I'm getting good responses on it. Like the people who actually sit down and read it, I had somebody call me at the end of chapter 2 where I talk about my son, Damon. And I end the chapter with like, what am I going to do? And this woman was like, I was right with you with Damon. I was like crying. What are we going to do for Damon? I'm like, good, because that's what I want you to feel, not just for my son, but for all of these children. So the thing that I want the awareness that I want to make for the new generation, the young family, is to better, you got to have eyes in the back of your head. Because somebody's going to come at you with some drug study or with something. Oh, well, we think we have an intervention program. Nope.
What about advice on how to wean the kids off these things too? Like if you have kids that come into your school and you got to go, it's a long journey through the year to get them back into sort of a organic learning capacity. Like how do you, because from what I know about some of these drugs, I don't know if the classification that you talked about are SSRIs or not, but I mean, it must be hard you can't just go cold turkey on these things, right? So
parents, I don't deal
you must have to work with, not you, but the parents must have to work with doctors and psychologists to try and start like weaning off of these things.
Yeah, but you know what's interesting? Even that. Okay, so let's say that I put my son on one of these medications, and then because it's life-saving, what happens is when the parents tell the doctor, hey, we've gone to an alternative school that really prefers them not to be on drugs, they just stop them. They go, okay.
Just like cold turkey
Just like that. They're put on drugs often from a checklist. Like even that is just.
I know it's so hard to imagine, right? It's hard to imagine where we're at right now. It's
well, if somebody could put a checklist, and I'm going to fail the checklist. Like I'm going to fail the checklist, but a checklist is somebody's subjective thought put on a child.
Made to be failed.
Exactly, because you can't pass it. You is nervous in new situations. I'm like, of course he is. Of course he is. He's a child, right? But nobody ever gives I'm against checklists, but nobody ever gives a child a checklist. They never ask the child, rate your parent on a scale of 1 to 10. Do they read to you every day? Do they hug you? Do you feel like you're part of the family, or do you feel like you are a mistake and you're more in their way? Rate the teacher. Does the teacher believe in you, or do they tell you to shut up or you're stupid or this? Nobody ever asks the child. They never ask what diet the kid is on. They never ask how much sleep does he get. They never ask how many hours of a device is he on. Never. And to me, all of that is important. That's of that is important.
Great point. Yeah, very good point.
Yeah.
Where can people get the book? Where's the best place to get it?
Amazon.
Enough is Enough.
Enough is Enough by Barbie Rivera on Amazon.
Do you have a website too, or social media?
I
anything
have,
like that?
BarbieRivera.com. I do monthly. Sometimes I'm better at it, like a little blog or a little announcement. I have a Latin celebrity translating the book, which it should be done. The translation is done. It's being formatted into book form, and that's going to be major for my area, because Miami is primarily Latin. Like that's how it is. And this gentleman read the book, and he's local, but he's known in 19 South American countries. I think he played a cartel person on like a Law and Order type show on Telemundo Network. Like he's been around for a long time, and he translated the book. He's going to have a picture in the book, and he's going to push the book because he has all of these lines. And I think that the Spanish version is going to take off because that's his area, and he's super excited about it.
That's great. So
Yeah.
what about helpmiami.org too, right?
Yeah, helpmiami.org. That's the private school, and it's a nonprofit. So I'm not asking, but if somebody wanted to make a tax deductible donation, they can do it through Help Miami, and all of the information of our tax codes, all of it. If I'm just going to like, I play a straight game. I don't get into the politics. I don't get into this. If I'm having a toy drive and you donate $100 to a toy drive, $100 is going to go to toys, period. I'm not going to get an administrative fee. I'm not going to we don't play that game. Right. So anyway, that's that. But if I had my way, what I want for the rest of my life, hoping I have 20, 25 years left, I want to take these old books, turn them into a curriculum, paper and pen. I don't want online. I want a school, small school, that if I had my way, it would be exactly how it was done in the old days. Short amount of learning to play, activity, and we would implement the trades in high school. Plumbing, like I want these kids to know, because we need to have plumbers, we need to have electricians, we need to have carpenters, we need to have some guy, like if one of you guys were into cars, and I'm like, great, we're going to buy a car and you're going to come in, and on Tuesdays and Thursdays you're going to restore the car with the class. I think that's brilliant, and I think that's what's needed. That's my vision.
Yeah, I think that's great. And this seems to be a good sort of stepping stone, or maybe it's a good alternative for people that sort of want to homeschool, but maybe they can't. So maybe they're in public schools, and it feels like a step, almost like homeschool, but it's still organized and in an actual school. So that's
yeah. And again, the thing like this, the stepping stone, using your words, from homeschooling to private school, which honestly, I don't even recommend starting the private school, because now there's just so much nonsense connected to it. The micro school out of your house. What I did my first year when I took Damon was going into the second grade with extremely weak skills. He had strong kindergarten skills, but first grade was almost non-existent. And he thought he was stupid. And my daughter was 4. So I only accepted in my little micro school second graders and 4-year-olds, because I didn't know what I was doing. And I figured I can't ruin a 4-year-old. I'm not going to ruin a 7-year-old. So I had 3 or 4 second graders, and I had 8 kindergartners. I had my schedule, I had what I did, and then I would shift them, because I had also 2 boys in diapers. Like my youngest son took his first steps in homeschool, and the kids were elated because they knew, oh, I got to go to school. This might be the day that Michael starts walking. And that was like a nice little family dynamic that you can't replicate that in a private school setting. And you can't really get that. You can get that in homeschooling if you have a big family. But my kids thrived with having their friends come to school. And it was fun for me too, because I'm an organized person. So teaching 10 kids manners was fun. Teaching 10 kids how to make a cake from scratch was fun. I like that stuff.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, that's great, Barbie. This has been fantastic. I think it's good. Like I say, we do have most of the audience seems to be right at that age where they're gonna be running into this at some point, because I don't know what the numbers are, but I'd imagine it's got to be like 1 in every 2 or 3 kids is trying to put on drugs now.
Oh yeah, I would say that. And I'll tell you, the kids that I'm getting to my school now, it's heartbreaking. I turned away 3 16-year-olds last summer, and I need enrollment. 16 years old, could not do 100 take away 71, because they were given special accommodations, which means they were given a calculator when they were 5, and they're allowed to use the calculator on all math work, on all math quizzes. So they had no concept. And now the next accommodation, which I'm running into, is called the reading pen, which is a pen that's shaped like a cigar that has a super cute owl head or a fox, or it's cute. And you run it over the page and it reads to the child. So now the child doesn't have to know their alphabet. And I'm like, are we kidding? And we're calling that progress. I'm like, I don't want any of it. I don't even want AI to correct grammar. I want to know what the child knows.
Yep.
I suspend if they use AI. If, you know, and usually it's the older kids that do it, but I'm like, please just tell me your view of this book. I don't want AI. I don't want some filtered version of it. Just tell me what you feel. And it's a battle. And again, it's because the education system is so far gone. The standards are so low. And I have that. I even have that in writing, which I write about in my book. That the best that have you ever heard of an IEP?
No.
All right. It could be something, every state has them. It could be named, like in Miami, it's the individual educational plan. It could be the program, or maybe I got the P wrong, but it's plan, program, protocol, whatever. And this is after the kid has been checklisted, after he's been seen and interviewed by a psychoeducational team. It's bullshit, right? Then they put together a pack of papers about this, of what they find on the child. And the teacher then has this, and then that's what the teacher's supposed to do. And one of the pages on this IEP is called like the agreed upon standards, meaning this is the goal or the goal standards, however they word it. Again, it's bullshit. Sorry for the word, but it is. And it reads like this, and they all read the same. I'll use Graham. Graham will be able to read a passage and answer the questions with 70% accuracy of reading comprehension. Graham will be able to do grade level math or arithmetic, addition, subtraction, and answer the questions with 70% accuracy. If Graham has a behavior problem, he'll be able to behave with 70% accuracy. And I'm like, okay. And I did this with a social worker, psychiatrist, psychologist, child advocate who came to my school, who was like beaming with this IEP. And I'm like, okay, I look at your nails. Do you get your nails done or you do it yourself? No, I go once a week. Good. Are you happy with 70% accurate manicure? I'm not. Do you get your hair cut with the 70% accuracy? Do you going to get your car maintenance with the 70% accuracy? No, it's not okay. We want 100% accuracy. And by saying that the best that the experts can do after all of this nonsense, after 6 months of prodding and probing the child, the best they can do is 70% accurate. I'm sorry, that's not good enough. The reason they were targeting my son is he was 70% accurate on the B and the D. And now they're going to say, at the end of the day, that's the best they can do.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's nonsense. And this lady was like shaking.
Barbie, this has been great. We appreciate your work out there. Hopefully we can get some people up in Canada doing this sort of stuff here soon as well, before I have grandkids, hopefully. But I mean, I know we got listeners down in Florida, so maybe some of them will check it out. And yeah, it sounds like great stuff. So thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Good luck with the book.
Thank you.
And that was a chat with Barbie Rivera. The school system tried to drug my son and failed. Good one. Yeah. Big thanks to Barbie for coming on the show. Big thanks to you guys for listening. Even bigger thanks if you're one of the few who choose to support the work. Grimerica.ca/support. Become a lord or a lady. Check out GrimericaOutlaw.ca. Contact at thecabin.com. Adultbrain.ca. And GrimericaCBD.com. Other than that, we love you guys. Thanks for listening. And we will see you next week.
5 pink flamingos and a few flamenco dancers. They're in the kitchen and they're baking Day of the Dead cookies. And I step into the kitchen and I'm like, let me have a lookie, see what kind of cookie you're cooking up. And they're looking up at me skeptical, and I Poindexter to my spectacles. And I'm wearing a maroon Harvard t-shirt. Yeah, I know I'm a smart cookie, but I'm no psychic. You can come and ring my bell, but where we're gonna end up in the future, I can never tell. I can never tell. Me and 5 of my best friends and a few of my enemies, we're at the coffee shop and we're settling our differences. Benjamin Otto pulls out a game of Chinese checkers and he orders a cappuccino. And I pick blue and he picks red and you pick yellow. And I'm wearing a tie-dye peace sign t-shirt. Yeah, I know I'm a peacenik, but I ain't no hypocrite. You can come and ring my bell, but where we're gonna end up in the future, I can never tell. I can never tell. One bell, one man, and with my sense of smell I can smell the salt in your tears, and I can sense your fears. You're hoping for a bit of divinity in this worldly vicinity, and you understand the fragility of the human vessel, and you sit Indian style like a pretzel, and you levitate to a transcendental state when you meditate. And you levitate to a transcendental state when you meditate. And you levitate to a transcendental state